Welcome, everyone, to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. And Phil Spencer says, we're never going to give you up. They are supportive of physical media, is what Phil Spencer says, which means we aren't giving up on discs yet. So they're not giving up on you yet. While other retailers might be giving up on them, Xbox is not. So even though they're pushing their Game Pass offering, they have no intentions of fully abandoning disc-based games. So Phil Spencer said this to Stephen Totillo from GameFile, that Microsoft will follow players in regards to abandoning discs. We ship games physically and digitally, and we're really just following what the customers are doing. And he said that that's their job at Xbox, is just delivering what customers want, what the majority of them want. Which is kind of funny because they are in the works of releasing a digital only console, which I guess was kind of their shortfalling of their SKU anyway, because Sony did it when they released their console, but Microsoft didn't. Or, well, I mean, the Series S, but it's a lesser console, right? This new console is supposed to be the same as the Xbox Series X, but just be digital only. He said that, Spencer also said the gaming consoles themselves have kind of become the last consumer electronic device that has a drive. Which could drive up the cost of getting drives in these machines and thus affect decisions about whether new console models will continue to accept this. That'll be especially relevant as we look toward the long rumored Xbox Series S refresh, which is, which we all know is going to be a discless. So basically Phil Spencer is saying that their strategy isn't hinging on people moving all digital yet, because they're not, right? I typically buy most of my Xbox games all digital because I have Game Share. And if I didn't, I would probably buy physical, to be honest with you. But we've heard a lot of retailers. We've heard stories of retailers over in the UK that have stopped stocking Xbox discs. I would say Game Pass and the digital market, being able to buy an Xbox game digitally anywhere, is probably helping that market, right? Because day one, you could go out to like any number of online retailers and get a game disc, a game code, and put it into the Xbox ecosystem for discounted price. So that kind of helps people go, well, I don't want to buy a physical disc for $70 or $60. I'm going to go get a 10% discount by buying it on, Green Man Gaming or wherever you get your online digital codes, and say, I'm just going to get a 10% discount. Some retailers like Amazon, when you were subscribed to their thing, used to give you a 10%. Even Best Buy used to have a 10% discount when you had their membership thing, which I'm not sure they still do. But I go to, like me, I use GameStop a lot still, and I get like $5 code every month that I buy a game with, $5 discount. So I buy $5 off my game or $10 off or whatever I happen to accumulate with them. So, Shane, what do you think about Phil Spencer coming out and saying that they're not giving up the physical media yet, so they're never going to give you up? They're going to support you in whatever you need.
It's one thing I've always said about Phil. He supports me. I like the way he comes up from behind and holds me and makes everything better. Thanks, Phil. Yeah. So words are kind of contradictive of the rumors. The next Series X update will be a digital console. Stuff came out during the FTC. Plus, there's other rumblings now. Microsoft has been violated with all the rumors going around about it for several months now. So you definitely take those for a grain of salt, because most of those aren't true. But just looking at trends, I see Microsoft going the way of digital. Now, Phil says he's not. I'm hoping Phil is exactly right. I hope Phil is not blowing smoke up my pooper, because like Pat, I buy digital on Xbox because I game share with my BFF, the sailor to my moon. So I buy digital for Xbox. If it wasn't for game share, I would not. I would buy discs for my consoles, all my consoles. PlayStation, 90% of the time, I will buy physical. Nintendo, 100% I will buy physical. PC, I was just having a conversation with my cable guy. You can't get those with a disk drive anymore. You don't even hardly ever see the casino games at Walmart anymore on disc. I mean, that's just the way it is. So, Phil saying that is kind of reassuring, but I don't see it truly happening now. I think this will probably be. Now, we also said this at the beginning of this generation, and I think we even kind of thought about that during the Xbox One PS4 generation, that they were going to move to all digital. Now, I definitely see a lot more all digital. Game Share makes us want to do all digital. Game Pass makes us want to do all digital. That's just an Xbox front. I don't like buying digital for PlayStation just because they're hacked so god dang much. I don't want somebody from Abu Dhabi, calling himself me and then, buying a crap on a credit card. So that's my problem with the digital realm on PlayStation. So I definitely almost always buy physical for it. Because it does have a game share sort of that works sometimes, kind of. So, but this is going to bring us all back to game preservation. Digital should be easier to preserve, but the physical disc is something I love. Even for Xbox, even though I buy 99% of the time it's digital. I prefer a disc just because I can grab it, go over there, grab it, put it in. That's it. Now, unfortunately, though, the way that everything's working, most everything has to be connected online. Even if it's a single player game, you have to be connected online. So it's just, DRM forcing us to move into an all digital world regardless. So it's a good thing to continue the discs, personally. The options that PlayStation put out with a disc and discless version, perfect. Cover your bases. You got your disc guys, you got your digital guys, perfect. Microsoft should have followed that same path. Or just one console, but you still get both choices. They didn't, so. But I think that would be the last time they do that. But, here's the discs. And speaking of discs, Nick, my buddy, the moon to my sailor, what's up? What do you think?
Am I a disc?
You're a disc.
I'm a compact CD. Yeah, I think the next Xbox will have a disc drive. Well, I think a disc drive will be available. Now, whether or not there's a disc drive in it, I don't know. It could be something similar to what PlayStation is doing now with the Slim model, where they have a disc drive that you can attach to it, right? You can buy separately. And that might be the route that Xbox is going to go with the next Xbox. It is eventually going to get there where, if Xbox includes a disc drive or has one sold separately, I think this will be the last iteration of a console with a disc drive, or even the option to buy one. And mainly because Phil is right in certain circumstances, you can't buy a disc drive outside of. I mean, you can, but like most things don't come with one, right? Anymore. PCs don't. Laptops typically don't. You usually have to buy those as optional things, and even
DVD
cars.
players.
DVDs don't come with them, right? DVD players don't come with them. Those are optional. Otherwise, it's just a plastic box. You got to buy the disc drive. Most vehicles don't come with CD players anymore, right? And there's just really no need to have them. You don't have your 8-disc CD changer in your trunk anymore. That's gone away. So, yeah, I mean, consoles are pretty much the last medium out there that still include a disc drive in them. And that's eventually, whether you like it or not, that's eventually going to have to go away. And I would say that, as of right now, that's what Xbox and that's what Phil wants to do, or at least present that to the consumer. Now, whether or not the next Xbox will or will not have one, I don't know. I think it will, but like I said, I don't know if it'll be included in the Xbox. I think it'll be an additional add-on. because even Sony's kind of making that move, right? With the Slim models don't come with a disk drive at all. You can buy, and they're basically getting rid of their original PS5s and just swapping that out in the market for the Slim model only, which you have to buy the disk drive. Now, I don't know about you guys. Now, granted, I haven't really been like playing that close attention, but when I have seen the Slim model of the PlayStation 5 at retail stores, one thing I have not seen is the disk drive. I don't think I've ever seen the disk drive on the shelf. I've seen the Slim sitting on the shelf, but I don't know if I've seen the disk drive. And now, granted, I haven't really been like searching for it, but I don't see it like sitting there close to it. I'm like, oh, hey, there's the disk drive that goes with those. So I don't know if that's you have to buy it straight from PlayStation, or if those are in box stores for that. Which, if they're, if Sony doesn't have them sitting on retail shelves, that's just further getting away from that, right? For them, I would be surprised if Sony's next console, I would say they'll probably do the same thing, right? If Xbox is going to have a disk drive, so will Sony, but Sony will probably sell theirs separately like they're doing now with the Slims. But I think Xbox will follow suit with that. I think they'll just sell them separately with their next Xbox edition. If you want to have a disk drive, you can buy it, connect it up to the Xbox, and you can play your disc games, right? But I think they're going to basically nix the disk drive from the next console. So, but I mean, like these guys, I'd rather do physical than digital. Again, just like these guys on Xbox, I do digital because of GameShare. If it wasn't for GameShare, I wouldn't. There is a convenience to it, but at the same time, it's nice to have that physical copy sitting on your bookshelf. Looks all nice and pretty. What's not the nice and pretty part is having to take it off your bookshelf, open it up, take the disc out, plop it into the console. It's more convenient just to go peruse through a list of games and hit the button, right? And then it plays it as long as it's installed. Because, anymore, like Shane said, you put the disc in, besides the day one patch, it downloads the game to the console. So the only thing the disc is doing is just authorizing the fact that you own a copy of the game, right? It's not even playing it off the disc anymore. It downloads it onto your hard drive, and then you just play it from there. So the console, the physical discs anymore in today's age aren't really doing anything on these consoles besides downloading the game. And it's probably not even downloading the game from the disc in most cases. It's probably just downloading it from the internet. I think there was some games do have it on there, but I know there were some games that came out that the disc, basically, there was like what they showed, like there was like barely anything on the disc, and it just and all it did was just download the game from the internet. But I mean, regardless, that's just the way things are going. It's all going digital. Like, even not just games, but a lot of our physical media, right? CDs, right? You can hardly find CDs in store anymore. You can find records, but that's because records are the in thing right now, and they have been for a while. But but CDs, you go to Walmart or any other retailer, and they usually do have some CDs, but it's a very small section. Unlike it used to be, back in the day, it used to be like rows and rows of CDs and stuff. Now it's just like a small section of CDs. Not to say that bands aren't still putting CDs out. It's just they're harder and harder to find. I think, I don't know if it's more convenient or whatever, but you'll find more, more of and more people are using things like Spotify or Pandora or whatever to play their music than to have to go out and have, back in the day when we used to have CD players or CD changers in our car, we used to have that flip book full of CDs that we'd flip through and find the album that we wanted to stick in our CD player or whatever and play that, and DVDs, Blu-rays, things like that. I mean, they still make this stuff. It's just getting streaming music and streaming or downloading games digitally. This whole digital future is just getting closer and closer to that. So as far as Xbox, I don't think they're abandoning it just yet. I think they will have it, but it probably won't be a part of the Xbox. I would imagine it'll be an external drive. And then the next iteration of Xbox and PlayStation, I would assume, probably will not have that option whatsoever. It'll be completely nixed 100%. if it ends up not being nixed this time around, right? Even though Phil is saying this now, things can change by the time the next Xbox comes out. So, what do you think, Pat?
I think the external pluggable disc is the way to go for all future consoles. I mean, they still make CDs, DVDs, Blu-rays, and DVDs. You can still buy a DVD new. Now, I don't always put every movie on there, but you can still buy it, right? But and they still make CDs. But good luck finding a place that sells them. I think Target still sells CDs and Blu-rays and stuff. Best Buy said we're done with that type stuff, and all that. So, but I think keeping that option available, having one SKU is the way to go for that. And maybe 2 SKUs, right? You have a disc version, and then I don't want to see 2 SKUs anymore. I don't want a high-end console and a low-end console. It's just the console, because we're going to run into this Series XS garbage again later on in the future if we keep doing that. But I want one SKU, and then if you want the disc drive, you buy the disc drive separately. That's the way to go, in my opinion. And that way you still support that functionality, and maybe make the disc drive a universal disc drive. There's no such thing as a PlayStation disc drive, an Xbox disc drive. It's just a high density Blu-ray disc drive that plugs into them through a common cable, USB-C, 4 or whatever the heck they need to do to get the bandwidth and speed that they need to transfer the game. But that would be a very sad day, because I only buy digital on Xbox, which, I'm sure in 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, if I'm still around, I'm going to regret it, because I like to have my collection visible. But I buy all my Switch games and all my PS5 games physical, and would like to keep doing that. But my hand will probably be forced in a few years where you can't even get that. I mean, I'll give a perfect example right now. And I hate the whole disc swapping, because right now on PlayStation 5, I'm actively playing Grand Blue Fantasy Relink and Helldivers 2. And I got to get up and swap out the disc because they're on disc. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink was nowhere to be found on disc. GameStop was like, we didn't get any. And I'm like, what do you mean you didn't get any? It's a brand new damn game around here. Walmart didn't have any of them. Had to go to Target to get it. And I'm like, I don't go to Target. So Target's all the way on the other end of town, on the opposite corner of town from me. So I had to go there to get it. And I'm like, some games they're just not stocking, especially the not very popular ones, or you got to order them from like a company over in Japan or something that you're like, is it English? A lot of games are doing that, and then I don't like that, because it's not a very popular game. I'm not going to be able to get a copy of the disc. I can't go to GameStop and be like, pre-order it for me and get it to me. My biggest problem with GameStop is that I can't pre-order it online and go into the store anymore. I have to, if I want to get it, pick it up at the store, I need to go in the store and pre-order it and have it delivered there. I'm like, the dumbest thing that GameStop ever did was stopping the ability for me to pre-order online and picking it up in the store. It just seems stupid. I don't know why they did that, but are we going to see our game stores stop selling physical media in the next 2 years or 3 years? I hope not, because I like physical media for my Switch and my PlayStation. And sometimes I don't want to pre-order the game that's coming out. I'm still on the fence about it, but I want to. And when it comes out, I'm like, yeah, I really want it. I'm at a lull of games where I have time, or I just need to get the game, but I don't want to get it right when it comes out. I want to wait for it to go on sale a little bit and go into Best Buy or GameStop, and pick up a used copy. But that's going to cease to exist, which means I think when discs go away, it's going to hurt some gamers. The budget gamers is going to hurt, right? Because Sony, if all you could do is buy games on Sony's digital marketplace, they control the price point. They have no reason to discount it. GameStop and places like that discount games because they have a plethora of stock that they just need to get rid of. They're like, this game's not going to sell, and I need to steeply discount this thing. It's going to go in the $5 bargain, dig through the bin that's 5 feet deep to find this, the old DVDs and Blu-rays. Here's the $5 Blu-ray bin, and dig through this. And they do that with games sometimes. Here's a $20 game bin. And you're like, find the one I want or whatever. That stuff will end, because digital's like, well, we got no reason to put it on sale minus anything than like a 10 or 20% discount, or maybe even 50, get down to $30 or $35, but long gone are the $5 and $10. Because you can go into GameStop right now and find a $10 and $20 game that came out maybe a year or two ago because it's used. You don't see that on the market on the digital, no matter where. Xbox, none of them, you very rarely see a game that was once $60 or $70 as $10. Very rarely, unless it's like 10 years old. You don't do that on PlayStation because they don't do that backwards compatibility very far into their future consoles. So that's what I worry about too. It's game preservation or having access to a game. There are some games that I really want to play from earlier generations of consoles. It's just you can't find them, even though they were physical. So could you imagine? The digital game will always be around. Hopefully, will always be around when somebody's hosting it. But I'm going to pay new game price if I want that, or close to new game price, because there is no reason for Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo to discount a digital game. They're not trying to clear out stock or inventory. They're just like, I want to up some sales this month. Let's give it a 10% discount. See if we get people to bite on it. 10% discount's usually not enough to get me to bite on something that I've been waiting on. I'm usually waiting for that 30, 40% sale or 50% sale to get something that I'm like, I want to play this, but I need a steep discount because it's not on my top two. And I play a lot of games, as do everybody else here. So yeah, I could see that's being a problem. I want my physical disc to stick around. We go to a thing called Mo Game Con here in Missouri, and it's all retro gaming consoles and used games, and stuff like that will just become out of reach for the majority of people, right? You can go in there and you could find, a copy of whatever you want. You're looking for a complete in-box copy of something. More than likely, if this is a really obscure title, you're going to find it. It may be more than what you would have bought it new for, but it's collecting it and putting it up on your shelf, and saying, I've got these old Nintendo 64 games or Super Nintendo or Atari or Sega Saturn or, Sega CD or Sega Genesis game. There's something about having a complete in-box copy of something just sitting on your shelf that's just great. I have hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of digital copies of games on my Xbox and PlayStation and PC, but they're forgotten. They're out of sight, out of mind, right? I would love to have something on my shelf that says, here's your list of games with the display, and I'm like, that would be great. But my Switch and my PlayStation 5 games are nowhere near the size library as my Xbox games and my PC games. So my shelf is like little, I want the big shelf, but I don't know. It's only going to get worse, and game share has kind of made that worse for me because I probably would never buy a digital game if it wasn't for game share. But I'm glad to hear that Phil's not canceling digital games anytime soon and that we're going to keep going with it.
Well, that's what he says, but
yeah.
And what makes it even worse is when they finally do go all digital, those games that you wanted on disc, cartridge, whatever, years ago, no matter what it is, the price is going to be astronomical. I mean, it's, I'm going to hold on to what I got now because one day I'll be able to sell my, Halo 2, everybody had it at one point copy for $1,000. That's just
as long as you can buy games at GameStop, which is the previous generation, they're always cheaper, right? Like if I wanted to go buy a PS4 game or an Xbox Series or an Xbox X or what Series now and then Xbox One, if I wanted to buy a one game or a PS4 game, I'm not going to pay more than retail for it.
No,
because GameStop exists. But if GameStop goes away because physical discs go away and stuff, you're going to be on eBay trying to buy this crap. And it's going to be like skyrocketing. It's a shame to say, because physical games, just look at games look at like a 64 game or a Genesis game or something like that. You go to these retro cons and a loose cart is like half the cost the game was when it originally came out, if not 75%. If you want a complete in box, well, you might as well take that original price and double it or add 20 or 30 bucks to it, because complete in box of something used from one of those consoles is like through the roof. And it's because there's a market for it, because you can no longer get them, and but will the PS5 and the Xbox Series X be the last physical generation console? I don't believe so. If it is, it'll be a sad day. But
No, I think you guys are right. We'll end up with one more generation with a
probably.
disc option of some sort, however you go into it. And most likely it will be like you guys described. It'll be a dongle attachment of some sort, USB, whatever, that connects to your digital console. It'll kind of look like the 360 with the HD DVD drive on there. So, but no, it breaks my heart. But I just hope Phil's not blowing smoke up my crapper, and he really means we're going to keep this, at least for now. So.
Yep. All right, you guys got anything else before we move on? We thank Phil's for easing our woes, but the writing's on the wall.
No, I'm sad now.
Well, Phil should make it all better. Phil's making you feel a little warmer inside. So let us know what you guys think. What do you think about a digital only market in the future? We know we're going that way, but is it sooner rather than later? Or do you see this as like a far off in the future thing? I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't bought a Blu-ray or a DVD in a long time, but I don't buy digital movies neither. That's not me. Ever since the physical media dwindled, I don't buy digital movies. I just wait for them to come out on a streaming service anymore. I'm like, I feel like watching this, I'll stream it. I don't own any of that stuff. So that's kind of hurt the movie industry, right? It kind of hurt, probably helps them. But at one point it was cable television that you would watch the movie, and now it's just a streaming service. Let us know what you guys think down in the comments. How do you think that the future of gaming looks? Games are going to be more accessible and easier to find. So, but what about the nostalgia and the physical of having something in your hand? We've already talked about in the past about having a physical manual that used to come with games, and now all you get's an empty case with a game and maybe a pamphlet selling you something or a code for some DLC or something or add-ons for the game. Let us know what you think down in the comments. And we've come to the end of this episode. If you stuck around this entire time and you're not subscribed, ask yourself why. You can help us out. Just hit that subscription button, be a subscriber, and and make sure to hit that bell to get notified when we put out new videos. And we hope you enjoyed this episode and hope to catch you in the next one.
See ya.